You're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week, episode 991. I am Josh Flanagan. I'm here with my co-host Conor Kilpatrick.
Hey, Josh, and
Oh
everyone.
man, have you been awake for a long time?
Josh and I are both exhausted for different reasons, and
Yeah,
and so we'll see how this goes.
I was asleep on that couch behind me there 15 minutes ago, maybe like dead asleep. Day of roller coasters with my kids in the sun.
Sure, it's the sun
It's
that
like,
gets you.
well, yeah, no, for a while, no sun, and then that last hour, they were like, "Take this, white boy."
It's a exhaustion multiplier.
People were walking around going, "Where's that beautiful barbecue smell I'm hearing? What is that?" And I was like, "That's me." Sorry. iFanboy 2025, 20th year doing the show, 25th year of doing iFanboy. The podcasting started 5 years after the website, but that 5 years of website begs the question.
You sound drunk.
I mean, it's pretty
Sleep
similar.
drunk. Sleep
This
drunk.
was my version. This is
Yeah,
like the all night thing.
I get you.
The first 5 years of iFanboy was a little bit of tree falls in the forest situation. Like,
Uh-huh.
I guess it happened, but did it happen? I don't know. Either way, we did it regularly and couldn't stop. So that's a thing. We will. There's this. So
We couldn't stop the fanboy story.
every. I haven't done that in a while, but that is about right. Do we have to do this forever? The iFanboy story. Every week for 25, a quarter of a century, one of us has picked the comic from their week of stack of weekly books that they like the best.
Wow.
They call that the pick of the week. We will talk about that book. We will talk about the other comic books that happened. The comic books happen. That's what happened. They do that to us. They happen to us.
We need to rev you up.
You shouldn't have. I shouldn't have had to read a thing before.
It's not my fault. That's how it works. We alternate.
I don't mean like anybody did it. It just shouldn't be. I was on the Superman ride at Six Flags, which is pretty in New England, which is not the same as the Six Flags in Superman in California. And I'm about to go up it, and I just went, oh, this shouldn't be. I do not support this. It's just straight up and down. It's very fast. It shouldn't be. And I said that out loud, and the little kid next to me, who was not my kid, said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Don't worry about it." My two children were.
It's always weird when they do that. It's like,
yeah,
you know.
There's the other books from the week. There's the Patron Pick, this listener mail. It's going to be a good time. There will be spoilers if it happens. You should know about that. We provide show notes so that you can be like, "Oh, I don't want to hear about this book. I haven't read it yet." That's up to you. Exercise caution. We do what we can for you, Connor. Thankfully, you had the pick.
I did have the pick, and it was a good week. There's a lot of really good books. There's books I really, really liked that we're not even going to talk about on the main show. It'll be on the after show. One of those weeks where I wish we had a longer time, and that's when everyone says, "Well, you can do however long you want," and that's when I say, "Shut up."
Yeah, that time multiplies. It's not just.
It's a force multiplier. Yeah. Every minute the show goes over an hour is longer in the post production. Anyway. I really like reading my comics. I had a lot of them, but ultimately really enjoyed them. And they particularly ended up being Detective Comics 1100, the first DC or Marvel book to hit 1100.
All I did was look at what the patron pick was when I came back. I did not even see what the pick of the week was until just this second. I was like, "Oh, that book." Go on.
It's the first of DC and Marvel. It's not old. You know, Action Comics, I believe, is older than Detective Comics, but
yes,
things haven't always come out monthly. And so,
I was surprised by 1100. I was like, "Wow, that's pretty good."
And I appreciate the fact that DC has kept Action and Detective at their original numbering. I know that they redid it during the New 52, but they eventually just said these are like seminal books in the history of comics. The number is important for that reason. I mean, these books haven't always come out monthly, but
I don't trust them to keep that up. But right now they are doing.
Right now it's great. So this is an anniversary issue of Batman, and it's one of the better anniversary comics that's come out in a while. I love anniversary comics, but they've been really lackluster lately. But this one featured 4 stories, 2 of which were really terrific, and 2 were solid. They were all good and featured some high level talent. Bill Sienkiewicz on art, and Michael Jen on art, Alvaro Martinez Bueno, who was awesome. And then you had
I flipped the page and I saw Bill Sienkiewicz. Whoa!
Yeah.
I said, wow, what a
and
special day this is.
and Tom Taylor and Greg Rucka returned to Batman, and Mariko Tamaki, who did a run on Detective, and Dan Waters is currently writing Nightwing. It was a nice grouping, and there was a nice little cover that was sort of a Where's Waldo-esque situation where Batman's swinging over the city, and below him are a bunch of characters from his, rogues gallery and things. And I even kind of wish they'd done more of them. But overall, wonderful package, starting with the Tom Taylor, Michael Janin story, which is a silent story, basically, as Batman helps a young deaf boy find his missing dog. And it features great storytelling. They do a little switcheroo on us when we think the dog's dead. Ace the Bat Hound helps Batman. It all turns out well. I think this is just a wonderful little short story that really plays to Tom Taylor's strengths. He, often he can get you right in the heart with his stories. He really understands Batman really well. And that's been shown throughout this run of Detective Comics that I hope people are reading, because, as we know, Detective Comics is always the lesser selling of the two Batman books. And this, I just thought this opening story was really terrific. And then the second story from Mariko Tamaki and Amanke Noel fan, I really liked. It was Bruce Wayne at a benefit, and him being questioned by some reporters about what good does he do for the city. And I thought this was, a nice little Bruce Wayne bit. I mean, there was a lot of flashbacks over to Batman, and it was a hero's dinner, and they were honoring one of the people Batman saved. But I thought it was a nice little. There's a lot in this whole comic about. I can't believe we have to discuss this, but I guess it's because it's 2025 and people spend too much time on the social media. But what is Batman's worth versus Bruce Wayne's money? Because there are certain people who think money solves all problems, which it doesn't. And that dovetails thematically.
That said, I am willing.
No, sure.
To
I just mean governmental
myself.
problems. My personal problems 100% solved by money. Dovetails thematically into my favorite story with the Greg Rucka, Alvaro Martinez Bueno, very bueno. The Knife and the Gun Club, which is where Batman teams up with the Pit. His little crossover with the Pit. I think people forget, and I forgot, that Greg Rucka was an EMT at one point.
I don't think I ever. If I knew that, I don't remember that I knew that.
It was a long time ago when when we first started doing this, because that was like his thing. But that
makes sense.
So all the dialogue in here, I mean, you could probably get from watching a lot of The Pit or ER. But anyway, very authentic. And this is the story of a overwhelmed Gotham City hospital in the night shift, because that's when Batman's out there, and there's a constant stream of people with broken bones and fractures, and then just the same as a broken bone, and there's one overwhelmed young doctor who thinks Batman's a menace because there's just a steady stream of people coming in hurt, and then the older, some more jaded doctor says, this could have been Noah Wyle in the TV show. So it's basically, when I started here, it was before Batman, and it was a steady stream of people who have been shot to death, and that's what his influence in the city is fewer deaths by more injuries. And then it's revealed that Batman's been there the whole time, because he's been bleeding and she's been helping him. And I actually got really emotional reading the final page where she says, you've made a difference here. And he says, sometimes it's, easy to forget that. I thought that was a really great, man, I love Greg Rucka writing Batman.
You're absolutely right. And I think that, the arc of that story was really good. I mean, the little story, like the idea was just like, no, you don't understand. These are just some broken bones and bruises. That's nothing, and it's like it's one way to quantify how he makes a difference. So there's all sorts of people who you're making a difference, but she sees it, like she sees it in actual, solid form. Like this is different. There are less dead people by far because you're doing this thing. And I thought it's really sweet, but I cannot, the art in this story, Alvaro Martinez Bueno, holy shit, it was so beautiful, but also just perfect for what it was doing.
Story.
Yeah, and like, not only is this sort of, I don't know, like almost somewhere between colored pencil and watercolor almost, but the storytelling and composition was excellent too, for just this sort of, low level grounded story. There's it's mostly two women talking in a break room. but just owned it. Like it's one of those things where it almost looks like almost photorealistic, but then you sort of like zoom in, you're like, oh no, this is just very, it's impressionistic. It was great. I'm sorry, I just loved it.
It feels like in the same school as Greg Smallwood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where that coloring style where it's not painted, but it feels like a little painted, and then realistic but a little cartoony. There's a
And
great
just soft outlines.
Yeah.
You know, like there's not hard black lines around anything. So the things that have outlines, it's just
They look
very
like
subtle.
soft
It's very
pencil
soft.
outlines. I mean, they're obviously
Yeah.
it's all digital, but there's a great sequence on the first page where there's a patient being brought in, and the young doctor is checking their pupils, and the shots through their eyeball, like we see it through the into the light. Like I've never seen that before in a comic where we're looking through the eyeball of someone like that with the outline of the.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even notice that, but you're right. And the lighting in it is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean I was blown away by this story. I thought it was so good. And then the Dan Waters Sienkiewicz story was great. It was Batman basically falling off a roof, chasing, someone else had gone off a roof and he was going after them, and the entire story took place in the fall off the roof. It's just Sienkiewicz doing what he does, which is multiple styles, sketchy, painted, drawn. It just, he is. We talked about Scotty Young a couple episodes ago, maybe last week, about being one of the true artists. He and Sienkiewicz are like the two true artists in comics.
I mean, we spend time thinking about like who we talked about, like who won or whatever.
Yeah.
And anytime that you're going to talk about great artists of the 80s or really of the last 40 years, like Sienkiewicz has to be, top 10, top 5, if nothing else, influentially.
Yeah.
Like he changed the game entirely, almost more than anybody else in terms of really breaking the boundaries of what can be done in these books. Look at the bottom sort of, what is it? Not even a fifth, almost the bottom sixth of each is an overhead view of the city grid, basically all red, and it gets closer and closer.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then that
As they're
last,
falling,
the last page, it's page 48. The shot where he's falling in front of the building and he's very stretched out, and then you look at that gorgeous shadow against the building behind him, and so the light is all there, but then as you go off to the right, like the rest of the city's in darkness. Oh God.
Yeah.
It gets better every time you look at it.
Yeah, because there's more to look at, because there's so much going on, and he is so talented. He's so fast. I worked with him. If you're watching a video behind me, this cover is a comic I made for my old job, and he did this cover here. This is a signed poster of it. And he's so quick. I've been to his house because ended up doing an art book of his work. 6-Foot Press. I don't know if you still find it or not, but I hung out with him for about 4 hours, and he's first of all the nicest guy in the world, but a true, like, and I say this with all respect, like crazy person artist. Like his house is like full of just art supplies everywhere and surfaces to draw everywhere, and just he's got art going on all the time. And if you follow his Instagram, he's constantly posting amazing stuff. He's just
what I think is really nice about this, and I like this will go on forever, but the storytelling idea, the concept is actually really, really simple. Like things just keep getting closer. That's the theme. And it's really easy to look at all the little techniques and the stuff that are going around it, but really what matters is the actual storytelling part of it. And this thing is getting closer and moving faster. That's it.
It's almost, if you take a step back and look at the issue as a whole, it's like the different aspects of Batman. So the first story is the detective story, but also it's his compassion for this child. The second story is, Bruce Wayne, his Bruce Wayne persona, using that money for good the way he does as Bruce Wayne. The third story is almost the city reflecting back at him, saying, no, you've done good work. And then the fourth story is kind of the way his mind works, right? His intellect, where he's off the building, he's calculating how he's got to catch up with this guy. He's calculating wind resistance. He's figuring out how he is going to adjust his shoulder to catch up to him. Like, it's all the sort of different pieces of Batman. And this is an oversized issue. It's hard to tell digitally, but it seems like it's 56 pages probably. And gone are the days of the 100-page anniversary issue with like 10 stories by a cavalcade of writers, but this is about as good as you're going to get in a modern day anniversary comic in terms of all these creators doing different aspects of the character and celebrating them.
And to me, like in this instance, we have to do these, so 100 pages is fine. I don't need that. But it really isn't a less is more sort of things. I think 3 or 4 targeted.
They're all good. There was not a bad story,
shorts,
so you didn't get a bad story. Yeah.
He cares about the dogs, and actually, it's a straight sort of line to you make a difference in this city, because it's like, how do I make this better against crime? Well, one of the things is that people's dogs go missing, and that's not good. So I'm going to make these people happy, in one way that I can, easy enough. Ace the Bat Hound making it's
and the kid pays him the reward.
Yeah, and he takes it.
Well, he didn't want to. The kid made him.
I know.
We're talking about the Bruno Redondo variant covers in the back. Like that was the back of a DC comic. I mean, Jesus, they're awesome.
Oh,
he's so good.
I don't have that. Oh wait, yeah, I see. I was gonna look through them all. Yeah, that's not bad.
Anyway, I loved this obviously, but a nice celebration. And 1,100 issues is nothing to sneeze at, in this day.
It isn't. I mean, good luck starting a comic now and getting to that. That's not happening. This is like 1,100 issues means before World War II. Crazy.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's see. Detective.
We used to be like, oh yeah, the comics that was 80 years ago, and it's like, no, I guess, or 60 years ago, and
we started so early. So 1937 was the first issue of Detective Comics.
37.
37.
Well, what was Action? I thought Action number 1's 38, though, isn't it?
Oh, so maybe this does. That would make sense then. Action's 38. So this is the oldest.
This is older.
Comic.
Yeah. Crazy.
That makes sense. Although, how did they do 27 issues in?
Superman was in issue 1, but Batman was in issue 27.
Yeah. So Superman came on, yes, but yeah, you're right. I guess we both everyone labors on the assumption that Action was the oldest one, but Detective was.
Yeah,
which is why the name comes from. Let's move on to what I thought was a perfect comic and one of the best issues of Detective Batman and Robin year 1, number 10. I thought this was one of the best issues of this amazing series, but so much was happening here, and the storytelling was incredible. The way that Wade and Somni made this feel like you felt the claustrophobic terror of the main characters when faced with an army of clay faces who can be anyone, and therefore no one is trustworthy. All of the standard things that Batman can count on, like Commissioner Gordon, or at that point a little bit the Gotham City Police, or even maybe Alfred, are all suspect. And then it ends with the plot, not knowing he's Batman, the plot to destabilize all the power structures in Gotham means they frame Bruce Wayne for stock manipulation, and therefore Dick is taken away by the city. And even that was like, what are they supposed to do? Punch the like they can't punch the child services people. They're just doing their jobs. And so that
from that bit
like
too,
just felt like this. They can't do anything.
The thing that I loved about that is that was Dick's reaction to it.
Yeah,
like the whole time, they're getting along. It's getting hard, but he really can't believe that this would be changed. Like he'd settled into it. He accepted it. He needs it. And of course he would be losing a parent again. Right. So that's really difficult. And I did remember at some point where I was like, oh, right. He'd figured out who Batman was, but then that got taken away. So it didn't happen. I also really loved in terms of moments that when Batman yells front angel pose, yep, and he's like, hey, you're learning the trapeze. It was just a nice little
this was the issue where we've had that. It's not manufactured conflict because this is the first year of them working together. This is the issue where they started to really dovetail. Dick was a bit more loose and relaxed. He was making jokes. Batman's, like you said, using the trapeze language for him to escape a situation. So you feel like you see the team coming together, and then immediately when they get home, they get pulled apart by the government because of the frame up. And also, then you had the great sequence earlier on the roof where, the Bat Signal shows up in the sky. They go, running to save the day, and turns out it's an army of clay faces because the bad guys manufactured a drug that gives people temporary clayface powers. There's an army of clay faces shooting at them, and like it's just a really well structured, suspenseful, just beautifully drawn comic.
Oh my god!
There was so many pages I just lingered on far longer than I would normally because I was just looking to see how Somni was telling the story, the way he uses the rhythm of the page. It's just he's unparalleled.
I cannot get over the painting with shadow. I cannot. I just look at it and with these blocks of black that make up. He doesn't draw with lines. I've seen him draw. He draws
the negative space.
Yeah, it's insane.
I remember watching him at a Comic-Con and my mind not comprehending how his brain could work like that. He draws the opposite of way people draw.
I mean, everybody that I've ever seen in the entire world, they'll draw the outlines, they'll draw the shapes of everything, and he starts blotting ink on there and move. I mean, he does pencils, but it's stunning.
It depends on what he's drawing, but this is clearly very heavily inked. Look at page 16. So this is when Batman and Robin are running from the Clayface cops. And
I almost sent you this panel.
The best page, but also this is just the best page. Like it starts with a long shot of the Batmobiles coming, and we see it from through the cops. Cut to Bruce's hand. He's gripping the steering wheels tighter. We see the cops. We see Robin now scared, and he's slowly engaging his seatbelt.
That killed me.
That was really great. And then Batman
wasn't wearing his seatbelt before that, by the way.
Presses on the accelerator, and then we see the car accelerating. We see the graphic match of his eyes to the headlights, and then we see the cops again, where we started at the front, but now the camera's flipped. Like this is a perfect comic book page.
Yeah.
If there was an Eisner for comic book page, this would win it.
I was gonna say you could buy that page, and I thought it probably doesn't exist. I don't know if he draws digitally. He must. Yeah, no, I love that little moment.
It's just the best.
Yeah.
It's a great comic.
Really good. I was noticing as I was looking at this, it was occurring to me that like these are all cars from the 30s. And I thought, wait, is this in continuity? Like I don't care, but I just
it's that retro modern thing we talked about last week with the
yeah.
Especially with Batman, where they put Gotham kind of exists with like 30s technology,
and
which it should. I think it looks best that way,
right? And so like should things be flexible? Yeah, I wouldn't want to take this away. I don't want to see like 10 years ago these are all fucking crossover vehicles.
We don't want to see Batman dealing with Afghanistan.
No, but also I just don't want to see him like running around driving from just a million small SUVs in black, silver, or white because that's what it would look like.
God, it's the worst.
It is. Right. How in the world are all the cars the same? How did we get to this point?
It's cheaper.
People are okay with it though. Terrible.
Because people don't care. Let's talk. Well, we're gonna ruminate on that.
Cars are art.
We'll be back in a second. All right, so let's move on to Imperial number 3, which first of all, it seems like this has been going on slightly longer than 3. I was very confused, but we had the big reveal in this issue of who is behind all of the cosmic shenanigans, and you were very happy, I assume, because you love these characters. Talk about it.
Yeah, so it occurred to me the other day that it occurred to me because what was it? You posted one of you guys showed a picture of, maybe it was on the Media Explode. It was of Star Trek, and the guy in the Star Trek is Anson Mount, and I was like, who is that person? So while we were doing the show, I kind of looked him up and was like, oh, he played Black Bolt in the Doctor Strange movie, but also in the show that was another Tree Falls in the Forest situation.
I saw every episode. It was awful.
Like it really was awful. Like I didn't even. You said that, so I never even bothered. I don't know what it looks like.
That was back at the time where it was still so new that I was trying to watch everything, but I also at that point was just put it on like while I was cleaning the apartment. Like it was just so it would be on, but I wasn't really watching it. But it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, so there was an Inhuman show, and what's interesting is that at that time, this is before the Fox Disney merger, and Marvel made a concerted effort at one point, I don't remember how many years ago, somewhere between 5 and 10, to replace all of the X-Men / mutant things with Inhuman things,
Right.
so that they could control. They can
Elevate
maybe
the
put that in their
Inhumans to
movies.
a position of prominence.
Devalue mutants.
That was the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Use the Inhumans in their stead, and then I have never seen the Inhuman show came out, was apparently terrible and tanked. It was on Hulu. Is that?
I don't know. No, it was on television.
Oh, it was on TV.
It was on like ABC.
But apparently, it was so bad.
It was terrible
That they completely made all of no more Inhumans.
They killed the
Witch.
Inhumans. They killed the Inhumans.
They just got rid of them and they disappeared from the universe. And so I saw that picture of Anson Mount and I thought, oh man, what happened to them? They're gone. And then like a week later, I'm reading this and it almost didn't occur to me. So the big bad guy in this is I'm sorry, is it the game master?
It's Grandmaster. We called him
Grandmaster
last time.
So the Grandmaster, but he's working with somebody else. You didn't see what it is, and here we see it's Maximus the Mad, brother of Black Bolt.
Young, sexy Maximus the Mad.
They fluctuate. So he's been all sorts of things. He can be like he's like a Loki character sometimes. Like sometimes he's kind of on the side of good, but he's not, and sometimes he's Doctor Doom. It depends on what they need him for, which is great. And it like kind of didn't occur to me. I was like, oh man, Maximus, I haven't seen him in a while. And then he introduces, Black Bolt comes in. I went, oh wait, I see what's happening here. And not only does Black Bolt show up, Black Bolt uses the words, and Black Bolt doesn't use his powers a lot. And I liked that they did. I don't like when he does. He doesn't need to a lot of times. It's the nuclear bomb thing, but he.
It was a cool panel of him doing it.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel? It seems like, and we don't know, this is not over yet. Although I think is it only 4 issues? It seems as though they are positioning the Inhumans as villains now. Like Black Bolt does a villainous thing here. Is that the reason?
Yeah, but against a guy who's not a good guy.
Right, but they also the Grandmaster's not, but the things they're doing are not good. They are they are causing a galactic war in order to take over someone's territory because they have no territory left.
So
they are instigating this entire conflict so they can take over someone's kingdom.
I think the Inhumans, there's a couple of things here. I think the Inhumans are one of those things where they have always sort of been like...
Yeah, it's 4 issues, so next issue is the final issue.
They have always sort of been, except there's all these spin-offs now.
Yeah, I saw that. I groaned. I groaned out loud when I saw that page of all the spin-off issues.
So this might be 4, but they're going to definitely get their licks in with other stuff.
Yeah.
They've always had the same thing that the mutants have done with Krakoa, is that they're not necessarily bad guys, but they're not towing a line. They're not allies with the human nations, so they're they've exercised power over them because it's been exercised over them the other way. So that's partially the thing. I think the second thing is that we don't know. Like, it could be kind of a red herring kind of thing. The thing they're doing might not be the thing that they're doing, and we're going to have to find out. But they can ride that line because A, they haven't been around for a while, and B, they can be anything they want them to be. And as long as the story is good, I don't care.
I'm actually okay with, for the reasons you mentioned, that they are basically sidelined. I'm actually kind of okay with them trying out the Inhumans as more of a villainous role in the Marvel universe, because why not? They're not doing anything else with them.
It seems like it's such a cornerstone Marvel thing, this race, this little society. It's a great part of Marvel, and because they made one shitty TV series that no one even remembers, as far as I can tell, to sideline these characters.
Well, it's also because of
I get it, but for the better part of a decade to have them disappear is just a crime, and it's terrible. But it does make them returning interesting, And
I think you're right that it's not, because I was trying to figure out while reading, after reading it, if that was in character or not. And I think you're right that like they ride a gray area a lot of times, and so being in a gray area means occasionally you tip over into the darker gray side and occasionally tip over to the lighter gray side.
And even when like Medusa was in charge, she's like, we're not your people, we do what's best for us, so
maybe they decide, look, we need, for our own survival, we need one of these kingdoms, and the people they're messing with for the most part, aren't the best people anyway. Now that they're
Yeah.
still the causing murder and death, but
Well, right, but they're all those are empires. They're all colonial empires to a
sure,
certain
sure.
extent. So this is this is just what all of the world was doing in the, up through the 1800s, basically.
I mean,
It's
they're
like
still doing
people wouldn't. Well, I know, but like your people's instinct is to not be like, England is bad, but England
Right.
did a lot of horrible things for a long time. So, on the whole, in math, if I'm not English, you've got a case there.
They brought you Monty Python. What do you want? So, I think it'd be interesting if this ends with like the Inhumans are the new cosmic badass on the block, and no one's quite sure if they're good or bad. That's kind of interesting. And if they're going to use them, that's
just
better.
a power. They're
Yeah.
just a power. I mean it's better. It's better than not having them around. Jack and Stan created those guys in 50 issues into Fantastic Four. They've been around. Don't waste them. Great powers, great characters. Do it.
So I hope someone checked on Jed McKay this week, because he, for the first time in like 5 years, someone else wrote a Black Cat series. Black Cat #1, G. Willow Wilson, Gleb Melankoff, Brian Reber, Joey C.
Gesundheit.
I didn't know what to think going into this. I love Black Cat. I've read all of the books that Jed McKay did over the last couple of years. They were great. I loved those comics. Melankoff does a bit more cartoony style than what's been done in her books lately. G. Willow Wilson, interesting choice for Black Cat. I wasn't sure if she was going to change the tone, not because she's a woman, I just didn't know if she was going to make it less sexy or what. I was pleasantly surprised that this felt very correct. I liked the Gleb Melankoff art quite a bit. I thought the story was fun, and the twist here that she needs to fight crime because the criminals are getting in the way of her heists. I fight crime during the day, so at night she can do her heists. Was an interesting twist on the Black Cat, who has, like the Inhumans, lived in the gray area for the last few years and been almost an Avenger at some point. I thought this was great. I really liked it.
Yeah, I did too. I think that I feel like G. Willow Wilson, by the way, it's the most fun name in comics to say quickly.
If you're not on a show not saying it all the time, say it out loud to yourself. G. Willow Wilson is awesome.
And you can
great
say
syllables,
like,
great wording.
It's odd. Awesome. You don't trip on it. It just flows. G. Willow Wilson. It's beautiful, and I want to make that known.
And but also writes great comics. We loved her fantasy book, and her original Miss Marvel comics were terrific. Writes really great comics.
What I would say too is that, like, when she feels like a new person to me, but that was probably 15 years ago. She did first time I heard her name, it was it was a Vertigo series, something to do with a flight attendant, and I didn't love it. And I read some other stuff, and I just think that in that time, like, she just honed her craft and now has not only skill but a lot of range. And this is like I know that we mentioned it once. She's been doing like Poison Ivy. She was doing a Poison Ivy series for a while. But like, this was just a really fun, well thought out, I was gonna say acted, but well characterized Black Cat story, and it tied into whatever's going on in Amazing Spider-Man, which, by the way, doesn't need to.
We're not talking about in the main show. I have so many questions about that book, but the only downside I think to this book is if you're not reading the Amazing Spider-Man, you are very confused about what the hell's going on with Spider-Man in this book, including as to why he has ankle bracelets on, which I'm still confused by.
I will point out, though, that like, this is a thing that I kind of don't really like that story, and I'm like, why are you putting this here? But as a kid, I love this kind of thing. I think comics need to have this all the time.
But does it tell you to check out Amazing Spider-Man? Like, there's no editor's note saying, why is Spider-Man being a dick? Check out Amazing Spider-Man.
If that isn't there, it should be. But I do like when whatever's going on in the thing just cross over with some other book for no reason. Yeah, like, what the hell's that? But whatever. That's supposed to be in there. That should lead you to something else. It didn't, but that's a very classic Marvel thing to do. Like in other books that you'd read in the past. Yeah, she's great. I didn't remember her being equal opportunity. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't remember that.
I think she's like neutral ground. So
Right.
if you go there, you can't like
Mhm.
fight each other, and she's
Yeah.
just gonna patch you up. I
You
think
could
she's a
do
great
a
character.
you could do a whole series of that waiting room.
Oh, 100%. Did Vaughn do that? Wasn't
He
there a
did a
night
Night
nurse
Nurse
book?
series with Marcos Martin, I believe.
Yeah, I
I
think
might
that's
be
right.
wrong.
That was that Doctor Strange.
That was,
That
but I think that maybe the Night Nurse, whatever. I'd never heard of that character before that. So but this was great. I think that what's happening is that we've seen her over a fairly lengthy period, that now when I see G. Willow Wilson's name on something, I'm going to, instead of being like, oh, it's interesting, she's on that, I will pick up the book probably regardless of what's going on. And I think that's rad.
that that so Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange and the Oath by Vaughn and Martine included the Night Nurse as the co-character of that book. So that's probably
Okay. Well, there you go.
I mean, she's been around since the 70s. But
it's a very 70s character.
She was blonde then.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she did, but Gene Thomas was one of her creators. Anyway, I think this was really fun. Great Adam Hughes cover. I think the Black Cats are really fun. She's, there's so many analogs across the aisles, and she's not just a Catwoman knockoff.
No,
she has her own interesting things. Her supporting cast from the other books continue on here. The guys that help her behind the scenes, and so
there's a lot of her running on flat surfaces, which I don't see very often, because it's like these characters who characters never just run on flat surfaces. They're always flying around on ropes or climbing up buildings or whatever. She's just hoofing it down the streets through half of this book.
That's true. She is.
It's just really funny.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm enjoying. I really enjoyed it. All right, another quick break. We'll be back right after this. All right, back to Batman Superman World's Finest 42. Mark Waid, Adrian Gutierrez, Matt Herms, Steve Wands. I know you put this on the list, so I'll let you go, but I just say that if this is about as good as you can do a Bizarro story, I think.
I think that's it. I tire very quickly of Bizarro speak and trying to, I definitely don't ever want it explained. However, they did a really good job here. And I think that, I mean, if you wanted to take it as like a parallel to neurodiversity or autism or something, like, you shouldn't cure us. This is how we are and we're okay with it. There's a little something there if you want to have it there. I really loved the science part of what's happening to the world, and the fact that an alien guy came there and was trying to fix it, but he did all the wrong thing. It just sounds like what humanity does.
Right.
Oh, we've got to fix this, but your perspective changes everything.
He was well-meaning, but he fucked it up. It did get dangerously close. And look, we love Mark Waid, obviously, but I have to give my criticism when I think things I don't think are good. He got dangerously close to the violating the Grant Morrison "how does the Batmobile get gas" rule. Like, I don't want to know how a cube planet spins and how it's because of science it's going to fall apart. It's Bizarro World. It doesn't make any kind of sense at all. So don't delve into the physics of the cubed planet, because then the magic starts to wane. But
I mean, but if you want to talk about like some of the best use of Bizarro speak, it is this letter that the guy wrote where he am slowly turning into Bizarro. It was awesome. I've never seen it. It was a new thing I've never seen.
I also liked Robin picking a piece of gum and blowing a bubble and it comes out cubed, which also doesn't make sense. Don't explain why.
And that was great. And I was really glad. I was like, please don't like poison him and make this the problem. And they didn't. It was just a cute little moment. And then they moved on. And I thought that was good.
I think what helped was that because of this guy's well-meaning cure, some of the Bizarro people have been cured of their bizarro-ness. And so we had Bizarro Superman, well, just Bizarro, and Bizarro Batman speak as normal people. So a good portion of it was communicated to me in a way that didn't make my brain bleed.
Yes.
And it's nothing against Mark Waid. It's every Bizarro story makes my brain bleed. So I finished it and I thought, well, that's probably about as good as you can do
Yeah, we could close the book on Bizarro for quite some time after this
Please
story,
do.
though. I
Please,
mean, we
please
let
do.
Jason Aaron get away with it a few years ago. We're letting Mark Waid get, but now then we're like, you got to be really good.
Morrison did a great job in All-Star Superman.
Yeah,
but you're talking the top tier now. I don't need
and
people whose
even
names I
then,
won't mention doing it.
Even then, it's fingernails on the window.
Oh, 100%. I was reading this issue today at lunch, like a lot of sighing, but also like, well, that was pretty good. Then a lot of sighing, then a lot of that was pretty good.
Yep, is 100%. I was like, I have to give it credit. I hate half of it, but good job.
But it's not the creative team's fault. It's just the concept is awful.
And I imagine people like this, and that's fair.
Falling in Love in the Path to Hell #9, in which we got the origin, I guess, of the samurai character, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
And I think this is just the weirdest book.
It is.
That I could possibly imagine. It's such a strange, even just the concept of it. And it's funny because the title is entirely literal. They are literally in purgatory. These characters are falling in love. They're on the way to hell. It's like, okay, well, you've done exactly what you said you were going to, but sort of, heading back into, Edo Japan. If you're paying attention to Shogun, the story there, this is about 70 years or so after that. So everything's been consolidated under that Shogun line, and it goes from that place forward. One of the things that's really interesting, though, is that women, people may not realize that women could be samurai. They were part of the samurai class. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they didn't. That didn't mean there wasn't sexism, but it didn't. It was conditional. There's all sorts of things going on in that society, and the idea here is that I don't know what he is. He's like the lord, so the local daimyo. And they're fighting. They're fighting against the shogun. They're one of the last that are holding out against the shogun, sort of taking total rule. And there's nobody left to fight, so there's her and a bunch of other women. And then she spurns the lord's advances.
Well, we still got the toxic masculinity here, where he wants to marry her, and she says no. So then he basically burns,
and he sells out his entire.
He burns the entire place down because she won't marry him. I was like, all right, well, okay.
And she doesn't take any shit, and
until she gets shot, dies, and goes to purgatory.
Yeah, it was just a good little story.
It was a well done tale.
Yeah,
I kind of want to know how long this book is going. I kind of feel like it's been going way more than 9 issues. It feels like.
Yeah,
but I like it.
It comes out regularly.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's been a little bit, but it's enough that when I dip back in, I'm never really lost because it's in the title. Oh, they're falling in love on the path to hell. Great. I like that we got to get away from the island a little bit. I would love to have another issue of the cowboy guy, and see where he's from.
This tracks that, perhaps not the next issue, but there will have to be a cowboy origin.
Yeah. I think the first issue had a little more on him than what was her, but I don't remember. It was a while ago. To me, it's this nice little thing of its own that pops up, like once a month. It's beautiful.
Did Dead Eyes ever finish?
No.
The Empty Frames?
John McCrae.
Because I think I only read like 3 issues of that. And it stopped.
I don't think it finished. I think that we can probably assume it's the veteran artist who doesn't work all that much, since Jerry Duggan puts out a book. He's put out 3 books in the time since we started the show. Right. So he's pretty prolific. He's very he's very on top of his creator-owned stuff. His creator-owned stuff comes out.
Right.
So, whatever, but he'll do it when he does. You're right.
I was cleaning out my iPad and I was like, oh, Dead Eyes. Did I ever finish? I don't know.
Well, the fact is they haven't really solved the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum mystery. So
that's true. He's holding it hostage. You don't get the next issue until someone makes an arrest.
Right. So this is like the thing. He got an inside tip. Jerry Duggan did, and he's like, no, they're gonna announce it. And so if you time this with your comic book just right, and he's like, yeah.
Did you watch the documentary on Netflix about that?
Yes.
With the really great accents.
I keep meaning to go there.
Yeah,
I've walked by it several times, and I'm like, "Oh, right, I gotta do that." Yeah.
Well, Josh, you ponder that. We'll take a moment here to talk about how iFanboy's listener supported. We thank everyone who does so, and the best way to do it is at patreon.com/iFanboy. It's how you directly support the show. You become part of a great community on Discord and Facebook. You devote in the Patron Pick. You get a Patron Power live on the show at the proper level. You join the monthly Patron Hangout, which is super fun. We just did that last weekend. At $10 or higher, you get an ad-free version of all of our shows. Plus, you get the Pick of the Week show a day early on Saturday. Plus, you get access to the iFanboy After Show on Sundays, where we talk about all the books we didn't make the show. This show's rundown. They all go there. There's a discount if you sign up for 1 year. You can send and you can send or receive a gift membership. Go to patreon.com/ifanboy/gift for more info. But we really appreciate all of our patrons. We appreciate everyone who's listening or watching. But we are listener supported. We are not part of a media network. We are not celebrities. And so therefore, it means we've got to crawl and scrape to get by, because that's the way the podcast game evolved over these last 20 years. So we thank everyone who is a patron. Also, iFanboy.threadless.com is our merch store where you can buy T-shirts, you can buy mugs, you can buy skateboard decks or shower curtains with our designs on them. Our latest design is the world's greatest comics podcast design. Just an idea we had out of nowhere, and we really like it. I have one of these shirts in royal blue. I don't know why. Just feel like this should be on royal blue for no good reason. And it's a nice design. I like the logo. So go there, buy a shirt. They're always having sales. You know, if you ever bought anything from Threadless, you get an email when they have a sale. So check it out there. We appreciate anybody who buys a shirt. ifanboy.com/support is our digital tip jar, and that's where if you are needing to hide money from the authorities, or you're a eccentric billionaire, or all kinds of reasons, you can donate up to and including $1 billion into the PayPal account. And
you're putting a limit on that, and I don't like that.
I'm just saying we will.
Is there a limit?
There's no
like
limit.
if you try to
I don't know.
Send $1 billion to PayPal, is it like please call our hotline?
Can you send $1 billion through PayPal to someone? No, I mean, this says there's a standard limit of $60,000 per transaction. So you have to.
All right, so that's
you have to do a lot of transactions.
Okay, all right.
You know, if you're the kind of person doing that, though, you've got flunkies, and those flunkies can sit there all day doing multiple transactions. Spread it out through your army of flunkies.
All right, so you got to do 16,667 transfers of 60,000. And then the last one is a little smaller.
Yeah, so if you need to do that, we appreciate everyone who does. Thank you very much.
Also, by the way, just to save yourself the time, just make that last one 60,000 too. It'll give us a little more than $1 billion, but yeah. Also, if you could send that friends and family so it can ding with fees.
Amazon is where you can do some shopping. There's links there. There's always links in our show notes for books. If you hear us talk about a pick of the week or a patron pick and you think it sounds interesting, you want to check it out digitally, you can always find the links there on our show notes. We appreciate everybody who does that. That's called affiliate marketing. And then bookshop.org is our partner to help support local bookstores. I just bought 3 books at bookshop.org last week because I wanted to buy this series that I was reading, the next 3 volumes, and I bought them all at bookshop.org, and they were all fulfilled by local bookstores. It's a great thing to do. We appreciate everyone who does all these things to help support iFanboy.
But they came in and they were covered with cat hair and smelled like cigarettes, right?
Well, that is the problem sometimes.
I'm sorry.
So we appreciate that, and again, we are locally supported. We're listener supported,
like fresh milk.
We would not be here after 991 issues without the support of our listeners and our viewers. So thank you very much.
Did you just call them issues?
Did I call them issues or
you
listeners?
Did. You said issues. I thought you did it on purpose.
I don't remember.
By the way, we should have just called our shows issues.
Issues. We had one of my TV classes, one of the fake shows we produced was called Issues because there were so many issues in the class, technically. So we called it Issues, and it was lighting issues and camera issues. Drawing Blood number 8. Hey, the book's back. After
that is a lineup of talent right there.
It is the most creators on a book this week by far. Drawing Blood number 8, of course, is the Kevin Eastman co-plotted, fictionalized take on the history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heavily fictionalized, but also many heavy dollops of truth.
Yeah.
In them. I just love this book, and I liked this issue quite a bit. Even though it's dark and
If you told me what this concept was before the book came out, And even if you showed me some images of it, I'd be like, there's no way that's any good. And instead, it is one of the books I kind of forget about it, but when it comes out, I so look forward to it. And part of it is me trying to figure out what's real and what isn't. But in this, there's a moment that caught my eye is that in real life, around 2009, 2010, Eastman and Laird, or whoever else owned it, I don't know, sold the Turtles to Viacom,
Yep.
Nickelodeon, for 300 million. So I look at an absurd amount of money.
Yep.
And that's touched on here. And the two guys are still at each other's throats at this point, like however, 20 plus years after creating the Turtles and going through the whole thing, and the one, like they're kind of didn't have a lot of, like, the Laird characters, like, I'm trying to start a cafe or whatever it was, something like that.
Just to be clear, it was for 60 million.
Okay, that's less, but still
Way less. Yeah.
not nothing.
Not nothing. But after taxes and splitting it two ways, it's not.
That's 100 quick transactions with PayPal,
right.
that are coming back. By the way, I have a little bug here under my name, and I had no idea that I would be doing math. If you're not watching the video show, that's not for you, but it's for everybody else. Anyway, like, just the idea that, like, these two guys who did this thing would still be bickering with each other after all this time, and I was like, that's so real, and it's so sad. And like, there is a lot. I would love to know what the process is for transferring the memories that Kevin Eastman had into what becomes the script and story for this, because anyways, I'm just riveted by it.
I did want to mention we showed the page of Batman and Robin, but I thought a perfect page, but one of my favorite pages of the week was, and this is something you can only really do in comics, is this page here where the Eastman character, sorry, that's my news alert. The Eastman character is remembering being young, and the reflection, as if he's at a body of water, is at the bottom, drawn by Kevin Eastman, black and white. And it was just incredibly effective image of his memory and the sort of the pain of it. It was really good.
If you read any of those comics from back then, you instantly recognize that style.
Yeah.
That's straight out of the early Turtles stuff. And it's
really good. Really good issue.
Weird book. Yeah, loved it.
Marvel All on One, #1. Ryan North, Ed McGuinness, Mark Farmer on inks for McGuinness. And this was awesome. This was great. This was, I don't know what they're doing. I guess this is, they're capitalizing on the movie that didn't do as well as they thought. It's just a giant brawl in which every page is a splash page between the Thing and what turns out to be a bunch of robots impersonating the rest of the Marvel Universe. And it's just a giant fight. And I like that Ryan North is flexing some different kind of storytelling muscles. Like, this is a guy who gets super heady with the Fantastic Four, but we saw him get a little more, mainstream action with One World Under Doom. But here it's just a slugfest drawn by one of the great slugfest artists of all time. And
who gets a panel a page.
I had a blast reading this. This was so much fun. And I don't know if this is like going to be a series or what, or a miniseries, but this was really fun. And this was a book I thought about for pick of the week.
A couple of things about this is that, one, I did not even see that it existed until you'd sort of mentioned it, and I actually have not read it yet, but I was looking at it, and I'm going to read it. I'm like 100% I'm going to read it. 2, notice on the cover where it says Marvel Universe, that is the font that was used when we were in the late 80s, and it was on the handbook of the Marvel Universe, and just looking at it makes me feel happy.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even notice that, but yeah, totally. It's the Thing logo with the Marvel Universe font. That's good stuff. I mean, McGuinness draws are really great, Ben Graham. I mean, it's just
it's much more detailed than I tend to think. He's usually a little less like that, but he also always uses an inker, so I guess it matters who that is. Mark Farmer's
this guy,
a legend.
It's really fun, and he tells a good story. I mean, they can get through. You can put a lot of dialogue boxes or a lot of captions in a splash page. So, but it's a really well done, And look, is it a gimmick? Sure, maybe, but it's a fun gimmick, and it
I
really
mean, you're
allows.
basically just looking at a 48 panel book.
Yes,
Like
it's a
6
fast
pages.
read.
Yeah.
And it's a well told story. And wait, does it end? I don't remember how it ended. If it ended on a cliffhanger or not, but you know, I'm all for these kind of storytelling experimentations, and I like to see Ryan North sort of stretching his wings out into different. Oh, no, this is just the one shot. It's over at the end, and then it tells you to go read Fantastic Four. So yeah, I liked it. I thought this was really fun. If you just want to pick up a really action-packed single issue, check out Marvel All On One. I have to keep saying it very deliberately on my head because it's not.
Yeah, that's difficult. It's very difficult.
Those are the books we're going to talk about at patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron over $5 or higher gets a vote to add a book to the run. No, every patron. What am I saying? Every patron gets
All of
a
them.
vote. All patrons, one patron, one vote, get to vote to add a book to the rundown. This week, the winner by one vote over Marvel All on One was Escape #1 from Rick Remender, Daniel Acuna, Russ Wooten, the latest from Giant Generators, Image imprint, Rick Remender.
Generator is not kidding there, huh?
No, he's
churning
always
them
got
out.
books and he's got ideas, and
it turns out at this point he has the best artist in the industry lining up to do books with him.
They must make money.
Yes, and they get treated well because Rick knows how to appreciate fantastic comic book artists and knows how to work with each of them in their own special way. And it cannot be underscored that so much of his success is due to this.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's a great writer, but he really is smart to work with the best guys and girls in comics.
And he respects it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, in one, I guess, high concept pitch is it B-17?
No.
Is it B-19?
It's not a B-17 because that was an American plane, and these are not Americans. Although it's not America, it's not quite anything.
Okay.
It's a bomber.
Well,
it's a bomber.
Essentially,
it's a World War II bomber crew, right?
A World War II bomber crew, but it's all anthropomorphized animals fighting essentially Nazis. But in the book they're all bats. And are they all dogs? Are all the
cats?
Oh, you're right.
I think the belly, the ball turret guy's a cat. I think
that's a cat. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, the Nazis are all bats. The plane crew is all dogs and cats, and it's essentially a bombing run. Which, you know, this is what happened. You'd go on your bombing run. You had, if you were lucky, an escort of fighter planes, you know, helping to fight off, you know, the enemy's planes. The fighter planes all get shot down, then the plane gets shot down, and that's what would happen sometimes is when you would land in the area in which you just bombed the fuck out of. And as you might imagine, the people on the ground were not too happy with you. So it was a very dangerous situation.
Okay, so just because you asked, and I'm going to go ahead and through it. So this plane is not real, as I said. It is 2-engine. B-17 was a single engine, and it also had one big stabilizer in the back, whereas this has this sort of 2 wide ones. It's a little more like a B-24 Liberator, and the B-24 Liberator was never used for long-distance bombing runs over Germany because it didn't have the range. Unless
there's also
they
like a crazy tank at the end that's got like.
Yeah. Right. And then
this is like a sort of fantasy World War II.
Yeah, and the windows on the top are sort of reminiscent of the B-52 or the B-29 Super Fortress, the one that dropped the bomb on Japan. So yeah. 1500 men in the water. Anyway, I had this here. I saw Rick Remender, and I was like, okay, I'm going to read it. Then I saw Daniel Acuna. I said, I'm really going to read it.
Like really hard.
Didn't know what to,
you're gonna read it really hard.
I read it super hard. I mean, like it was like my iPad ran out of battery while I was reading it.
Your eyes were like
slow down,
straining, watering.
It was hot. I did not blink. I read it 3 times through. I did not blink 1 time. I did not know what to expect, but I don't even bother with Rick Remender. I like to just sort of jump in and go do the thing. I do not like everything he does. Should be noted. There's a book coming out right now. I don't read it. I did not expect an anthropomorphic World War II bomber story.
Yep.
At all. And as I sort of wrap my head around it, I got to enjoy it more. And this is a Garth Ennis story, as far as I know. Like, this is the most Garth Ennis book I've seen anybody else write. I've never seen Rick Remender do anything that was basically straight up history other than the dogs and cats. Although even that, I've never done anthropomorphic stuff. It's way out of his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But then you've got Daniel Acuna. I mean, he's got to be one of my favorite artists of, he's
the
so
best.
good. And he doesn't never show up. He doesn't show up enough that sometimes I forget he's there. We were not too long ago on the show. I think before that Avengers Twilight series came, I was like, what happened to that guy?
Mm-hmm.
And now we've gotten to see him a little more. Remember, he was just on Green Lantern forever ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He was the Green Lantern artist. And at first I was like, it wasn't quite apparent. And maybe he wasn't sort of the artist he is now. But then everything he did, you're like, wait a minute, this dude's got something going on that's really great.
Didn't
Anyway,
he do an Avengers book around that time?
He may have.
He did. Or some Marvel book that really, like, he was starting to get really good, and then he took off from there.
Now, when I read the obligatory essay, it really sort of got to me. So basically, Rick says he didn't know a lot about his father's side of the family, and when his dad died, he learned more about his grandfather, who had been a barnstormer prior to World War II. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Which tells you a lot, like that Rick was like, you know what? I'm gonna just jump out with no idea, and I'm gonna learn to make comics and make a living of it. I was like, oh yeah, your grandfather's a barnstormer. It's basically the same level of danger. Just go all in on comics. Especially when he did. He finds out his dad, or his grandfather was a bomber pilot in World War II, and sort of learns a lot about it and talks about it through here. And then you hear the same thing that Daniel Acuna's, both of his grandfathers fought in the Spanish Civil War, and I was like, I'm amazed. And so they start this story. These two men who both work in comics from very different places. And he says a sentence in here that I think is true. We've talked about this a lot. A personal connection is mandatory to make something special. And I was like, yes, I believe that is the case. And so what you did is this guy who's never done a war story or a thing like this in my history, but the personal collection comes out and he does one of the best war stories I've read in a really long time. And it is basically like, what's the dog and cat mystery story from Spain? Black Sad. I mean, it's very much in the vein of that and sort of how the animals are drawn.
Yep. Looks like that a little bit.
It's a feast. This was my pick of the week if I had one. No question.
I went back and forth on the animals. He says in the essay that he read a thing about a study that said people had more empathy for animals than other people, but I don't know if I would have liked it better if they were people than animals. If it's just trying to do like a mouse kind of thing, but I have a lot of empathy for people. I would have preferred it to be people, but
I think though that because we're not really doing, if he was really doing Nazis versus Allied, I think yes, but because it's a little bit of a fantasy world and
I think the animals makes it. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, but the weapons that like
that's what I mean. I think if it's people, he just does real weapons and real planes. But this is animals. They make it more fantastical, even though it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not a fantasy story. It's very much set in a very much real world, but the weapons look more fantastical than they might have than they did. So I'm curious to see what the story is. This is 100% a cold open. We talk about this all the time with Image Comics. Like this is the bombing run goes awry. They get shot down, and then it's called Escape. So the assumption is it's escaping Germany back to safety, but. I
would bet you one or two of the annual payments for $1 billion being sent to our PayPal account that Rick Remender spent some time with the Masters of the Air book, because this is very sort of related to that. And the idea that what's interesting to me, and it is not spelled out in the book, it's just a thing I know, is that the Germans hated the bombers.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
Bombs were.
You landed in the place that you just blew up. The people on the ground would fuck you up.
And the bombs were not accurate. They rarely hit their targets. Especially in the beginning,
incredibly.
They were hated. They were a great propaganda piece, basically. Like the German government and army could be like, "These are your enemies." You did not want to be caught in Germany as a bomber pilot.
It's also the only time this kind of warfare was ever employed was World War II.
Mhm.
So the planes didn't exist for World War One, and then they were quickly obsolete by the end of the war because jet planes would just destroy these things. So, the only time in history that these kind of mass bombing campaigns ever happened was during World War II.
And they didn't know what they were doing, and it didn't really work.
No. So I mean, this is terrific. I felt myself, I just went back and forth on. I liked the animal, and then thought, well, but I just kept going. Ultimately, I'm okay with it, but
I love that kind of drawing. I love those drawings. I love Black Sad for that same reason. And there's all the different types of, it's just caricature to me. Like but you can sort of make. It's really easy to get across the idea of what a character is like by the kind of dog they so that the one guy is the long thin nosed sort of Doberman, and that's the best friend of the sort of bulldog mutt face guy. It right away says what you need to in a way that you might not be able to with humans a little quicker. And it's one of those comic book things that I tend to think works really well.
Escape #1 ratings out of 5, 4.8.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I'll go with that too. That's fine. It's fantastic.
Sticking with it. Yes, I would have read it.
Yeah.
Yes, we both would have read it. We did.
Yes.
Both did read it. So there you go. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron can switch out a book to the rundown. But if you're a patron at the $5 or higher level, you get a superpower live on the show, like
what? Yeah.
Carlo Esqueda, who I had a note about a power. I don't think I've already given it out. I hope I didn't, but I figured I got the note. So Carlo's power is that he can remove. And you tell me if I've done this already. Remove one thing from pop culture. He can only do it once.
I don't. That doesn't sound familiar to you.
It's a one-time power. He can remove one thing from pop culture, and it will never have existed. So, I don't know, Carlo. You could remove Damian Wayne from pop culture, and he had never existed. He never was in a story.
May not be the exact cultural impact he wants to make.
No, I'm just saying he can remove one thing. He could remove, a movie. He could remove a television show, a film. That's the same thing. A band. He could just something from popular culture. He can blink and it never happened. The people aren't dead if it's like a band. They just
this is like the movie Yesterday.
Yes,
except,
it is.
Except
like
one guy remembers it.
Right, but in this case, no one remembers. So that's Carlo's power.
What brought? I don't
know. I found the old note. I was like, I don't know why I thought of that, but it was months ago.
Well, it begs the question. You've put this out there, so do you have any ideas? Do you have any candidates? Like he'd have to really think about this for a while.
Yeah, because he's going to do it once. It's just really like, is there a really toxic fandom that he likes that he wants, which would clean up? Does he identify the cause of that toxicity and remove it?
See, I was thinking you have to do the thing. I was thinking of the thing that caused the fandom. So, you'd have to take away the movie that made everybody be like this.
Right.
But if you're saying but he could just remove the sexism that's related to
no, not at all. He'd remove the Last Jedi, which has causes so much toxicity in the Star Wars fandom, or he could remove whatever. But it's one thing from pop culture, one character, film, comic, television series. That's his power. But one time only, Carlo. Snap your fingers like Thanos and have it disappear.
Chuck Lorre.
He could remove Chuck Lorre's career. He doesn't kill Chuck Lorre.
No.
Chuck Lorre, it just goes into banking or something else.
The products of Chuck Lorre's imagination don't exist. No.
Didn't Chuck Lorre help pay your bills for a couple of years?
No.
No,
that was a different group.
Was it a different group?
No, that was Bruce Helford.
Oh, you're right. It was
Bruce Rasmussen were the main producers there.
Thanks, Carlo, for being a patron. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron gets both a book to rundown. We're going to do a very quick email. We're going to answer it quickly. We're not going to spend tons of time on it, unfortunately. Sorry. To Ben F. He always writes in 5 questions in every email, which is great. He's got a fount of questions. It's harder to do on the show, but
yeah.
Ben F. from Erie, Pennsylvania says, due to the cyclical nature of comic book storytelling and how long you've all been reading them, I know it can be easy to become cynical about the state of comic books in general. What are some books that reinvigorated your passion for the medium in those times when you were feeling down and out about comics? So we'll just do this. Won't spend a half an hour on this, but what's something I know you probably have had this feeling more than I have, where you feel down about comics. I never feel down about comics in general, but I do recognize when they're in a fallow period of
I
creativity.
don't know that down about comics is correct. I get bored sometimes because I start seeing the same thing get repeated over and over again, and then there has to be something that comes along that makes you be like, oh man, this art form is great. For me, over the past chunk of years, it's almost always artists. Like, it's just like, if watching what Chris Somney does here, or we're talking about Daniel Acuna, or we talked about Greg Smallwood or something like that. Those are the kind of things that make me really excited when somebody new comes along like that. I'm just trying to think of a couple examples, I guess. I know that there's a bigger one in the past that I cannot remember. I will tell you that Grant Morrison's Super Gods, huge difference for me.
Oh yeah, that did
reading
change
that
perspective on comics.
Changed my entire perspective on mainstream superhero comics. Learning about Jack Kirby changed everything for me. I read a couple of books. I tried to learn everything about Kirby that I could, and I was fascinated by it, and that changed everything for me. And knowing more about the history of comics in general, but Kirby specifically. I'll tell you Usagi Yojimbo, and more recently Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Those were two things that, Usagi Yojimbo didn't come from out of nowhere, but I had known about it for years, and I dipped into it, and at some point that just clicked, and it became my favorite. Hellboy, that happened to me with Hellboy forever ago also.
Yeah, it did.
Same kind of thing. So it's just, you find something that's doing what comics do really well that you hadn't noticed. It was a little bit different, but it's something to be like, oh, this is also possible, other than whatever thing. Marvel and DC does a lot of great things, but there are times where they all get in lockstep and they start whacking at something, and everybody gets stuck around a theme of some kind. It just happens, and it gets a little boring. And so you just need something to jostle you and find the love, provided you love it.
There were tons of books in the early 2000s. We were starting iFanboy when we expanded beyond. You go through your
Transmetropolitan,
your eras, right? Like when I was in high school, reading almost entirely just Marvel and DC. Finding Sin City was huge for me.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, what is this? And what other comics are like this? Like that was huge as I was getting old enough to appreciate something beyond just the storytelling of these characters. I liked it was the artistry, and it was the noir. It was just, everything about it was different. Sure. It was great. And then we go through college. We come out of college in 2000, no, 99 into 2000. And, that's when we discover books that are either happening at that point or starting, like Transmetropolitan, Planetary, Powers,
Preacher.
That's when you and I and Ron started iFanboy, but also at the same time read all these amazing non-mainstream books that the whole Bendis run, Jinx and Goldfish and Torso, discovering all that stuff was big for us.
Powers was a really big deal.
Powers was huge for all of us.
I would say if you just go back just a little bit, Grant Morrison's Justice League is one of those inflection points that had a big deal with me sort of coming back to comics and you being excited about it and passing it on to some of your friends who passed it on to me. And then I would also say right in succession where it needed to be was Kurt Busiek's Thunderbolts. Yes,
and I was going to say that in the same 2000s period. Bagley at the beginning, the first 12. God, why do I know that? I think for you, when you started to get I think your first fallow period after we started iFanboy, then you read Sleeper, and you read Wildcats 3.0. I remember those two books specifically were sort of reinvigorating your excitement for comics around the 2000s, whenever those books came out. It's and then there's always great mainstream stuff, but there's always people doing interesting things. Asterios Pulp many years later for all of us. And like I said, Greg Smallwood in the mainstream doing amazing on stuff we'd never seen before. Tom King coming along and doing books we'd never, Mr. Miracle. That's correct. No. Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Miracle.
My brain won't decide between Mr. Miracle and Miracle Man. Mr. Miracle. Not even talking about all the Alan Moore stuff in the 2000s, the ABC stuff, the Top 10 and Promethea. And
Tom Strong. God. Man, the late
From Hell, and
90s,
From Hell.
the late
From the late
90s,
90s, early 2000s, there was a metric ton of stuff to discover and find that was so good. That's the reason why the comics had a new renaissance post.
I mean,
Marvel
the comics
bankruptcy.
industry was dead in
Yeah.
a way after that, and I think
Some of the best stuff came out.
I mean, it's really easy to be like, well, the stuff that was coming out right when I was young and formative was the best stuff, but in that instance, it
Ultimate
was. It's
Spider-Man,
like,
if you want to go mainstream, Ultimate Spider-Man.
It's like if you discovered rock music, you know, in the early mid '60s, and you found the Beatles. You're like, I think that's the best stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, it is. Like, it just happened to be like. So, if you started reading comics in the early '60s, you know, yeah, you got the good stuff then, you know, and that happened to us. We were the industry reinvigorated and changed, not just us, everything.
Yeah, I think mainstream wise, I think JSA was big for us. Justice Society, they were all different forms of that book that Jeff Johns is doing. And I think that in many ways, there's always good stuff. There's always bad stuff. But I think in many ways, comics is chasing that early 2000s creative boom, which has not.
But then what they did was they tried to, I mean, of course, they're always commodifying it, but they tried to repackage it and revisit it. And the more they do it, the more it was like, well, it's really not special anymore. That's not how this works.
Thanks, Ben. Sorry we didn't get to your 3 to 4 other questions you wrote in, but that was.
You're going to have to edit yourself, Ben. It's how it works.
Thanks for writing in. Contact@ifanboy.com is how you can get on the show. Thanks for doing so. You can also get on our Media Splode. We just did a Media Splode mailbag in our last episode. So you can put Media Splode in the subject line if you want that to be for that. Let's quickly go through this. I feel like Alan Moore saying it this way. 5 weeks ago, we did a Superman podcast. 4 weeks ago, we did a Talksplode Chris Condon podcast. 3 weeks ago, we did a Fantastic Four First Steps podcast. This past week, we did Media Splode. It just came out a couple days ago. Our look at the Gilded Age Season 3 and also the Summer Mailbag. That was incredibly fun. We talked about a lot of varied things, and we had a really good time doing it. This coming week, in like 4 days, will be our Booksplode review of the Avengers in the Veracity Trap. I have it here. This is the second copy I've gotten, Josh. The first one was purloined from me. Ended up in a school library.
Yeah, I understand.
It was what was it when the cops take your car?
It was requisitioned isn't the right word, but
the word has escaped my head. But anyway, it was taken from me. So this is a new copy. So that's coming out just in a few days. You can that
commandeered.
That's what it was. And then in 9 short weeks, we'll have Pick of the Week episode 1000. We'll be streaming that show live on October 24th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/ifanboy. That's my birthday. I'm spending it with all of you instead of at the bar. We'll be talking about the Pick of the Week. We'll be talking about the Patron Pick. And then we'll spend the next 3+ hours answering all of your emails. So send in your email to contact@ifanboy.com. Put 1000 in the subject line. You should know there's going to be special guests. I almost called you something that wasn't your name. Josh and I.
You know, I'm the one who was supposed to be able to not handle this.
I'm tired and hungry. Josh and I are going to be in the entire show, all 3+ hours. Josh may get up and walk around. He does that sometimes in those shows. But we're going to be there the whole time. We have at least 6 special guests already lined up, confirmed that they're going to appear. We have, invites out to a couple more. So there's going to be lots of people popping in and out. So the questions could be answered by anybody who comes on. So you don't have to be specifically about Josh and I. However, all subjects are open. It doesn't have to be about comics. It could be about media stuff you'd normally ask the Media Splode. We'll talk about films or TV shows, whatever. You can ask us about behind the scenes stuff at iFanboy. You can ask us about college. Anything. Doesn't mean we'll answer it, but you can ask it. And so send them in. We've already got a lot of great questions, but keep them coming. We want to have a nice giant bag of questions to pull from, considering it's going to be a madhouse of people on the show. So there you go. Episode 1000, October 24th.
Oh, it's my turn. I was just thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of work going into that. I'm just going to show up, though. You can find our library of many, many shows that we've done over the years in which we've honed our craft to the point now where we got really good at it, and then we started forgetting words. And so
that's just
like earlier, we weren't as good at it, but that vocabulary was right at the ready. Now that trips us up, which is a little unfair. This is a little like my problem that I'm having with roller coasters, is that now they don't make me feel good. That's not fair. I take Dramamine beforehand. That's not cool. I can go to there now. I can afford to pay for it. I want to go and ride roller coasters, but no, it doesn't work as well. Here, I can talk about all these things. I can have thoughts, but I can't remember the word commandeer. And like requisition? No, that's not
I'm
it.
requisitioning your vehicle. That's not a thing. Oh, damn it.
I think that involves like filling out a form.
He got
like,
forms. He's like, oh, do you have form 97B? No, goodbye.
You may not requisition
Requisition my car.
eminent domain. Anyway, so over at iFanboy.com, there's all the shows, all the podcasts. There's many thousands. Never miss a show. You find out what the pick of the week is by following us on social media. That is at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, at iFanboy.com on Blue Sky. Connor and I are individually on Instagram as CS Kilpatrick and J.A. Flanagan. Also in that area, our former staff writer Jeff Reed is doing short form video deep dives into forgotten comic book minutia. He finds a thing. He finds a grain, he finds a nugget, and he explores it, and he's gonna teach you something that you don't know. You can find those every Tuesday and Friday on our social channels and on YouTube.
You can please consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. This is actually a great way to help the show if you can't do so financially. We always understand you if you can't, but what you can do is write a review or leave a star rating. It helps people find the show. It helps the algorithm promote the podcast. So we appreciate that. If you're listening on Pocket Cast, you need to be subscribed and have downloaded a few episodes before you can rate it. And if you subscribe to youtube.com/iFanboy, where you can watch the video version of this show, as well as our special edition shows, Jeff Reed's comic book deep dives. You can find an archive of all of our old video shows that we did from 2007, 2012, where we talked about many of the comics that we just talked about in the email segment. And finally, join us in the iFanboy After Show exclusively on Patreon, where we'll share our thoughts on all the books we read this week that didn't make the rundown. That's at the patreon.com/iFanboy for everyone, the $10 a month tier and up. Thanks for listening. I'm Connor.
I feel like by saying that the billionaires should use PayPal is creating some like a roadblock that they might, and so it doesn't need to be PayPal is what I'm saying.
No, we're just saying it's available.
However, if you have 2 or more billions of dollars or whatever your chosen, you don't need one of them. I'm telling you, you don't need one of them. I'm not saying if you don't. You don't. You have 2 or more, you're fine.
Yep.
Get it to us. We will work with you.
Your life won't change any. Ours will change dramatically.
Yeah. And for the, honestly,
for the better.
Way better. Way better. Will the show stop at that point?
Or will it happen from a boat?
Yeah.
Starlink is a very powerful mobile internet service.
What if you'd like to see Brad Pitt on this show instead of me? We can make that happen.
Right.
Just get to it.
I mean, I found with live from Mykonos.
I'd be deep in Scandinavia.